you throw hard by throwing hard, right? As simple as it sounds, think about the context of that answer, and it's like, I can go out to a Little League practice and I can watch people throw with no intent of growing. I believe in throwing to growth, throw to a purpose. Too many people just throw to throw and then think they've done the justice of getting better because they actually did the act or art of throwing. No, you didn't. What's up, everybody? This is Robby Rowland, and you're listening to The Robby Row Show. Yo, what it is? It's your host, Robby Rowland, on The Robby Row Show, episode 4. Let's see, what do we got? Okay, so today we got an interview done by Jon Sintes, and I am the interviewee, but I love the podcast so much that I've decided to take the MP3 from the podcast and throw it on mine, just because technology, I guess. Anyways, so like I said, this is a podcast done by Jon Sintes. You can follow him on Instagram at jsintes34, and I'm essentially just having a conversation with him, but some good nuggets in there. I hope you all enjoy, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast. I'd really appreciate it, and you can even go a step further and give me like one of those 5-star reviews and say how cool and good looking I am and stuff. I don't know. But without further ado, hope you all enjoy this show. I know I did. And let's hit it.
What's up, gangsters? Jon Sintes here, Cutternation Podcast. I have an absolute legend today. I'm super excited. We've been chatting, throwing things around for a little while. Probably wasted a little too much time talking off air, but we need to get on air. The man, the myth, the legend. You guys need to see him now. Here he is, Robby Row.
Hey, am I on? Can you see me?
Yes, Robby is on. What's up, dude?
How's my beard look?
It's beard-tastic. You're lucky.
I got good lighting.
You're lucky you don't grow a neard like I do. Like this.
Oh, dude, I just got rid of my neard.
That's all I grow. Like my profile photo, and it's just that's like a 4-month beard, and it's really just all neck shaving with slight facial situation.
Dude, mine just connects. Like everything. Like as I get older and proceed into my werewolf phase, everything connects.
Yes.
Hashtag hot.
Okay, so let's start with the first most important stuff. You and I have talked about Joe Rogan's podcast and how we've heard one thing about crushing steak every day.
That's
so
why
people don't know what's going on. Why don't you take us through the process from how you heard the podcast like I did, and then how your mind was blown, and how you jumped into this philosophy of being an absolute carnivore.
So do you want me to like date it back to the origin of like the idea that got sparked in my brain?
Yes, the whole thing.
Okay.
Because I don't think anybody's heard it.
Right. Yeah, dude, this is actually a really good opportunity, and it's probably going to take up the whole podcast. Anyways, I'll try to talk a little bit faster. So for those of you who don't know, I experimented with what's called a ketogenic diet, which is essentially cutting of the carbohydrates, cutting of the sugars, and utilizing fat for fuel. I was really big into that during last season. And then once the off season hit, I was actually asked to join another podcast called the Keto Evangelist Athlete Podcast. And so I think maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks before they had me on, I was listening to one of their episodes to try to get like the format of how they do it. And so I could get comfortable with it. And it happened to be an episode in which they had Dr. Sean Baker on, and he's kind of like leading the charge as far as the carnivore all meat lifestyle. And so I remember to this day, like I'm running, I'm doing my morning jog, listening to this dude. And like, I had to stop jogging to make sure I was listening to it right. Because I've always like loved beef, dude, like always loved steak. And I'm listening to this and I'm just like, okay, if this is real life, like this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So flash forward, and I do the podcast, and I kind of asked the host about, that certain individual, and kind of got more familiar with him. Actually, like contacted him via Twitter. He was great as far as responding. And then it hit big time when he went on Joe Rogan, and kind of, as everyone knows, Joe Rogan's got like the best podcast ever. So he became like super well known, And then as soon as 2018 rolled around, the month of January is which he called like the World Carnivore Month. And he tried to get as many people to participate in that. And I was like, dude, like, yes, your boy's in, dude. Like, let's go. It's funny. I actually started in December because I knew by that time I was going to Winter Ball in January because I wanted to do my experimentation phase when I wasn't having to compete. So I did it for December, and it was like, dude, it was like right away. So I'm a big, like, I need to feel for myself. I can't just like say, okay, homeboy, it didn't work for him, so therefore it won't work for me. I'm a big, like, needing to do it myself and experiment with that. So I did it for the whole month of December and felt like unreal. And I felt good on the keto diet, but this was like next level, man. And I just felt like getting a lot stronger. I put on, I mean, to this day, I've put on like 26 pounds since I started it. And just transitioning from where I was at in that specific time when I was on the ketogenic diet to now, I mean, you can relevate it to baseball performance too. Like, I've gained X amount of miles on my fastball. I've been able to recover this much better. I've been able to go back to back days out of the pen. I mean, there's so much more that actually goes into it than people going, oh, he eats meat because he just eats meat. Like, there's actually like a scientific study for me personally, knowing how good it is for me, and like, you know, people obviously freak out about the no veggies or the no salads or all that crap that we will not dive into. But long story as short as possible, I've been doing this since the start of December, and for me right now, I think there's going to be more like body experiments that I want to do as far as incorporating more things, maybe trying this and trying that and seeing how I respond. But right now, that is what I'm doing. That is what I post mostly about. That is the most important thing in the world. End of podcast. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll see you later.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I actually started in a little bit after that in December, and then went through Christmas and that whole time frame, and really felt like tried to stay true to it, you know, with Christmas diet and stuff like that.
It's hard.
That's actually my first time I recognized where I was doing the steak. You know, the thing that he talked about that I really liked was that factor. Like, I felt satisfied when I ate steak. And when then I didn't eat steak, that was my first experimentation. Like, okay, I'm just going to have some chicken breasts. That's it. Yeah. And then see how I feel through the day. And I felt okay, but I didn't feel the same when I had steak. And I was like, that was weird. Like, I noticed my energy levels up. I was actually more alert, more positive, more happy when I ate it. And I was like, okay, so I liked how my body responded to that. So that was my whole thesis on that. And then when I had stuffing and gravy and mashed potatoes and just Christmas / Thanksgiving from the South, because that's where I'm from, and it was just carb heaven. I specifically remember eating and then 15 minutes later being like laying down on the couch and be like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I don't feel good. I feel like I need to take a coma. I don't need to slumber. I need to coma right now. And I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. I countered that by that night actually having a straight eggs and bacon at Waffle House, by the way. And
good silent plug there, dog. I love that.
Yeah, love a good. And so I just had like a ton of eggs and bacon that night. And it was crazy, even before I was going to go to bed, like respond, like just completely 180 degrees, 1,000% better. And I was like, all right, this guy's onto something. So then I just kept going with it. I dropped a lot of body fat. I was happy about it. My strength numbers went up, and I've just kind of continued doing it. Now, the only thing with me that I can notice a difference is now I can feel a difference when so I started making these super shakes with like hemp seed and berries and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that was a big proponent.
Yeah, that's my next level. I'm kind of mixing that into it too, because I'm feeling like my recovery stuff is good, but it's not as good if I were to have this. So I'm kind of modified it, but I did the same thing you did with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it too is like you have to approach this thing in like an open mind. Yeah. We have been told by like, you know, the FDA, RDA, like so many regulations as far as dieting. And if you go into it and within that thought of your back of your head, like, I'm going to get gout, I'm going to die, oh my goodness, I need a green thing, where's the grass? Then you're gonna mentally kind of like screw yourself. But if you go into it, like, I like going into things like bit, like, out of the box. I'm freaking weird as it is, so might as well play that card. So when I went into it, I was fully in as far as everything that came with it, and I think just having that open mind, it allows you to really get in tune with what your body is telling you. So if you kind of go into it like closed-minded, like, oh, I don't feel good, or, I haven't gone to the bathroom in a day or something, like whatever, then you're kind of going to, not do it justice. But I'm in that same boat as far as like, okay, I feel good, but like, let's see what else like we can do as far as incorporating something else. Because I used to be a huge smoothie guy. That was always how I got like my fruit, veggies, everything. And to be honest, I kind of miss my smoothies. So I want to do maybe just like a 7-day Johnny, as far as what, maybe just 7 days of smoothie in the morning and then steak the rest, and just see where I go with that.
Yeah. I like that.
The one thing I will say that you just hit on is like satisfaction of everything. It's funny, dude, because every time I finish a meal now, it's like I'm good. I can fully say like I'm full, I'm satisfied. And then another thing, I don't know if you've noticed yet, but it's like you go almost, so I go morning steak, night steak, nothing in between, because I'm full the whole day. I'm satisfied. Like I don't need that, oh, I'm hungry, like snack or whatever. It's a fullness throughout the whole day. And for me, and I want to say any baseball player, really, that's like a huge thing. And that's what really helped me out when I went to Puerto Rico, is I wasn't having those cravings of like, I'm going to go crush 7 tablespoons of peanut butter and and go from there. It was actually like, okay, I had to have my 3 pounds of steak in the morning, and then, go throughout the day, feel good. And then at night, come back up and fire the George Foreman up or whatever at the time and get it going. But
so are you guilty of being a spread killer?
Back in the day, absolutely, dude. So back in the day, I mean, and I say back in the day as in like a year ago, but it was always, and you can attest to this too. It's more of like a boredom eating thing. Say, BP's at 3 or whatever, and you're there at 12:30 because you want to be early, and then you kind of go, well, I don't think I'm hungry, but it's there, so let's hit it.
I would go one step further and be like, okay, finish BP. Like me being down in Mexico, we didn't have a locker room for a couple teams that I was on. So you would just walk to the convenience store, and it became habitual where I'd be like, let's fire up a little Rogan, have a little walk. Let's learn, let's get outside of the situation you're in. Let's just turn the brain off, go into autopilot, listen to some stuff, get some water. What's the closest thing to do? Snickers bar, appreciate it. And then a sugar-free Red Bull. All right. And then you would be like, probably should get a second Snickers bar because I'm going to be closing. It's 4:00. I won't pitch until 8:30. I'm going to be starving in the 6th inning. So you know what? We'll go ahead and get 2 Snickers bars because that's the only thing I can handle,
Yeah. Speaking of Snickers, did they just come out with a protein bar?
I mean, why haven't they been on that train before? Like, who's?
Bro, I think I've seen it. It's like, oh, the world's fully changed now. We've fully we reinvented the wheel, and it's next. Now we're gonna have zombies.
That's okay, so let's transition from the nutrition, because for anybody who's not following Robby, like that's his thing. He goes live on Instagram. He's crushing steak. Like, people enjoy it. I'm sure he gets both sides of it. But let's get to the main thing.
I'm sure he gets both sides.
Yeah. Let's get to the main thing that really, what I enjoy watching is the absolute fuego that you produce. So when I first found your page and we were going through everything, the one that really got me, that just was straight looping and like I was just locked in on it, was that 100-mile-an-hour shuffle fire into the fence. Going like, your boy can throw. Here we go. Let's see what's going on here. So you and I have talked about a bunch of different philosophies on this and that and everything. And I really like what we were talking about earlier today about these young guys and being able to process information from coaches and things. And you've kind of changed your mental status on what you're focusing on, this and that. Can you give me a couple tips or some ideas on things that you really feel like that are helping you mentally understand what you're trying to do on the mound?
Yeah. So, I mean, take another step as far as where you're coming from with that is me being the individual who I am as far as what I was talking about with the diet, right? I said, like, I'm a very big experimental. I need to try it for myself. That goes hand in hand with pitching too. And if you're a baseball player, you're probably well aware of that being a thing that you probably do a lot as far as changing things, figuring out what works, different grips, whatever it may be. You're never really satisfied. With that being said, I have gone through progressions in my career / life that have taken me on a crazy roller coaster ride. And to be at this position where I am now, as far as the mechanics that feel comfortable, the grips that feel comfortable, it's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that happens by accident. It's a constant work ethic and developmental phase that you need to have embedded in your mind, and you need to figure out. I try to tell kids this. People come up and they probably ask you too, like what is the biggest thing I need to learn? As far as how do I need to develop? And it maybe sounds funny on the outside, but it's actually it's a good question. And I say, first things first, you have to have a desire to get better, because if you don't have that, then you don't have the fuel to fuel all the things that you do throughout your day to get better. And then a 1B out of that is you have to thoroughly love what you do. If you don't have a foundation of love for the game, then it's going to eat you alive, and it's going to spit you out and not care at all about what it did to you. Because the game is a B, okay, and we all know it. So for me, and what's keeping me going to this day still, and I know you can 100% attest to this, is we both love what the game brings, and we both love the competition. We love the grind. We are fully committed to everything it entails. And for me, that is like a combination of just taking everything it has as far as the development, the mechanics, the workouts, the running, just everything it has, and enjoying it. And yeah, it's a grind and it sucks at certain points in your career, but at the same time, if you don't love that and you don't love everything it has to offer, then you're kind of doing an injustice as far as how you approach it. But yeah, I don't even remember the question. I kind of just got rambled on there, but yeah, I mean, Tessie, back to what you said about where I'm at and how I've kind of gotten here is just the theory of what feels comfortable for me. I know through playing 8 professional years that there are certain things in my routine that I need to do for my body to respond properly, which comes with a legit throwing program that includes, long toss and pull downs, a good solid mechanical foundation that allows me to repeat, allows me to be out of that same angle, and then taking that a step further and knowing what I need to do to recover and making sure that I can go out and pitch every time that I'm called at a high level of competitiveness.
That was a great rant. That was a great
dude. I'm terrible when it comes to a specific answer, because I just want to be like this, that, this, yeah, let's go. And then next thing you know, I'm talking about microwave.
Exactly how we pitch. That's exactly how we pitch. We just come out and go.
We'll try this today. Now I'm throwing left-handed bangers.
That's funny.
I love it.
So you didn't answer the question, but that's fine, because you kind of did. But that kind of spiraled off to another thought that I have. By the way, I love the MLA format that you threw in there, 1B. That was nice. Good reference. Right?
MLA, yeah. No, I went to college and I did it. I went to high school.
So Okay, so that brings me. I like where you went with that, and that made me think about, because I get questions a lot too. And like, for example, one of the guys that I was working with, he's a pro guy, kind of transitioning through stuff, and he threw a bullpen before I did yesterday after our team forfeited, and I just it was turned into a real fun situation where I get to face guys on our own team who've never faced me, and then some other random dudes, like just random guys from other teams, just hopped in line, and it turned into this sandlot. Hey man, like, Sintes is throwing over here. Y'all want to face him at bats? And people are like, can I face you? I'm like, let's do it. Like, what? Why not? We're here. I'm in a uniform. I got cleats on. I'm ready to go. What's the problem? Let's do this thing, And so I'm having a conversation with this guy, and we were working together. I got him going, got him in the right direction moving. And then he goes to this team, right? Goes to this team, and I know you're going to, I know how you'll respond to this. So we get him on shuffle fires. We get him on pull downs. Everything starts increasing in like 1 week. Things start unlocking. Mobility starts getting better. His pull downs are going up. And then he goes to this tryout. Doesn't exactly stay true to his plan that when we were working together got him to perform at his top peak. But that's because he listened to these other guys, right? So he doesn't do exactly what he had done with me a couple days before that. And then he's been training with them ever since, trying to keep him going. And so he throws a bullpen yesterday, and he throws before me. And I'm like, so are you throwing as hard as you can, or what are you doing? And he's like, no, I'm just out here trying to get the feel. And I'm like, what's the point? Like, they told you that you don't throw hard enough. Are you pushing yourself in practice? And he goes, no, they won't let us long toss. We can't go past 120 feet. Okay. When you throw your bullpen, we don't throw bullpens. What are you doing? Like, I'm so confused about what you're not even training. You're just hanging out. Like, are you pushing yourself? So what brings me to my question is, I'm a big believer that you have to know what 100% is every day. And you have to train to, like David Price stood out there, and it made total sense to me. Like, if you don't throw at least 2, 3, or 4 baseballs as hard as you can every day, I don't feel like you're pushing yourself. Do you agree with that?
Okay. So I'm changing the way I answer questions in this podcast. We're going to keep it simple. We're not going to rant. But my opinion with that, I'm going to date it back, I'll say this. Velocity is a huge part of development. And it has essentially overtaken the game which was once a secret as far as how to A, get opportunities, and B, stay in the game. Now that secret of, you don't need to throw hard, just get outs. It's out there. It's open. You need to throw hard. You need to do something as far as lighting up the radar gun to give yourself the best possible opportunity to not even like succeed in this game. I think just get a shot in this game. With that being said, I get a lot of questions about velocity development. I've been blessed with an arm that goes pretty fast, and I am able to throw pretty hard. That is not an accident. That's work ethic. But when people ask me, how do I throw hard? As broad as that is, I will say every time you throw hard by throwing hard. Right? As simple as it sounds, think about the context of that answer, and it's like, I can go out to a Little League practice and I can watch people throw with no intent of growing. I believe in throwing to growth, throw to a purpose. Too many people just throw to throw and then think they've done the justice of getting better because they actually did the act or art of throwing. No, you didn't. You just threw to through. Have a purpose. Yeah, exactly. Like you have to have a plan. You have to take that plan. It's funny. I just wrote a blog on this. #blog post. Anyways, take that plan. Understand what you need to do to accomplish what you want to do. You can't just say, okay, I want to throw hard, go out and practice, throw, and then when Sunday rolls around or whatever your games are on, think, oh, I'm just going to turn it up to 110%. Like, no, the game doesn't work that way. You have to practice what you do in between the lines when the lights are on and people are watching. I made a point. So back in, I won't try to name any organizations or anything. And if I do, we'll edit it out. Back in 2013, I got caught up in the organizational policy of throwing program, kind of set aside my personal throwing program as far as what I knew made my arm feel good and what my body did to feel good, and bought in because as baseball players, we want to be people pleasers. We want to do things in turn make other people that have high authority happy about us. So with that being said, I was like, yeah, we'll cap it at 120. We'll throw to throw, and then games roll around, and it's like I'll just turn up the intensity. I got a good arm. Well, that's not the way things work. Like I said before, your boy was throwing like 86, 87, and just wasn't comfortable out there, not knowing what I needed to do. And it wasn't until I got released that I came to that realization of like, okay, I need to do what my body, what my arm needs. And then that's when I got back to that long toss program, pull down program, actually feeding the arm. I got real in tune with like the Jaeger program that was really big at the time. And just, understanding what that actually did for me. And then as soon as that happened, my velocity kicked up, and that in turn gave me a complete understanding of what I need to do from here on out to maximize my body's potential. I want to make a shirt that says maximize your potential because it just sounds sick. And I think it gets totally misintruded or miscontruded. There's a word in there that I'm looking for. You'll get it if you're listening about like throwing to grow. And I think it's so pivotal, especially in today's day and age when velocity is what it is. It's a huge part of the game. And you see people adapting because of that now. And in turn, you need to adapt as an athlete. And so there are certain steps that you need to take to make sure, okay, I said simple answers. I didn't do a simple answer. Next question, please.
You did fine. That's the whole point of this long form thing. We're not worried about editing or anything. You did great.
Oh my gosh, dude, I need a coffee.
Because I agree 100%. Like when I was relieving, like all the time I had coaches being like, hey, you need to save it for the game. And I'm like, if I don't know what 100% or how I feel when we're doing our throwing, how do you expect me to go out and just let it go? And that's only because that's the way they did it. Like when you look at the inherent, information, you're projecting what was put on you. And that's where I hear all these coaching phrases, and it cracks me up every time I hear it, because it's just funny how like you're just regurgitating something else somebody told you instead of like learning it on your own and going from there. And it's so funny because the other day, brand new client, kid comes in and he got almost like there's key coaching phrases, and I'm going to throw these out and you're going to love them because they're all just, they don't make sense when you go logic into it, right? It doesn't make sense. First one, ready? Hey, slow down, throw a strike. What? Huh? What? That's not the way that works, right? Number 2, ready? Hey, you're flying open. Stay closed. And think about it. You have like a 11 or 12-year-old kid. These kids are smart. I don't think we give some of these kids enough credit because they're they understand. I've had more growth with 11, 12, 13-year-old kids on just treating them like an equal, I don't even allow kids to call me coach. Like I always tell them, like, you call me coach, that means I can't do anything. That means I'm retired. Don't call me coach. Call me John. All right, let's just do that. You know what I mean? Like, how many times can your coach pick up a ball cold and then fire a 2-seam to show you exactly what the action is for you to see? Let's pump the brakes on the coach stuff. You know what I mean? And
then you got brag.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what I try to give these kids. Like, look, who's throwing the baseball? I never understood why my coach got mad. He wasn't even playing the game. Like, and I should be way more mad than you. I'm throwing the baseball.
Yeah.
And so when I'm going through, when I had my best season was in Mexican League Winter Ball, and I dominated, and I just did my own thing. I long tossed every day. I pulled down 3 to 15 throws to make sure I could throw the ball as hard as I could around the area that I wanted to.
You knew what that felt like.
Exactly, dude. And that was my last feeling. And then I would shag BP, and then we'd be good. And then when we get to the game, that would be my last reference point mentally. And I'd get up there, and then I had coaches and teammates being like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, what do you mean? Like, I have to do that. Then I go do my bands, my recovery stuff, all in the same day, and then I throw." So basically, I was getting hot twice in the same day, but controlling the amount of effort of throws unless I really felt like I needed to do it. But most of the time, the third through sixth throw at a shuffle fire 100% would be like, all right, yeah, I got it. We're good. No big deal. All right, let's hit some bands, call it a day. See you guys in the 8th whenever you're ready, you know?
I'll be inside.
I'll be over here already starting my warm-up routine, stuff from there. So
can I rant?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Okay, just let me know when we're 5 minutes out, and then I'll panic.
Okay.
So kids who are listening, and John and I talked about this morning, is obviously we live in a very connected world where information is at the touch of our fingertips, right? There's a lot of information out there in that regard, and that has not just baseball, everything, right? We're right there. So I encourage each and every one of you to not be an expert at a certain thing that you can do, a certain exercise or a certain mechanical thing. Like that's not a problem, but be an expert of your own body. Understand that there's not an external person that can tell you how you feel and what things work for you. You have to decide that what works for you is what your body is telling you. Now, things that I do and feel good at the end of the day might not work for John, and then vice versa. Things that he does might not work for me. It is what it is. I know plenty of people that cap their throwing at 120 and throw 100 and pound the zone. They're just great. I can't. I understand that. That's awesome. I can't do that. Like, I know what I need to do to make sure that I'm maximizing my potential. And that could change, right? There's always things that you can incorporate into your routine, like, oh, that looks dope. Like, let me try that, see what your body responds. Okay, that next morning you wake up, you throw a little shoulder poppage in there, you feel pretty decent, and then, okay, maybe you're implementing that. Vice versa, as far as, things that don't work. Things, you wake up the next morning, you're sore in an area that you didn't think, was even a muscle or whatever, then bang it, dude. Like, there's too many kids these days that fall in this category of seeing things on Instagram and then trying it and feeling like crap, but still continue because the guy doing it is either like super shredded or throwing 100. Like, you have to understand that you can be an expert of nothing, but still be an expert of your body and yourself and your arm. Okay. And with that said, I think it's so true that once you start, and I'm not sitting here saying like I'm perfect as far as I did this at an early age and proceeded and rode off into the sunset. I'm in the big leagues for the last 40 years. Like, no, obviously, like, there's a grind that comes with it. Okay. There's things that don't work out, whatever. But I just know, and John and I both know just through our experiences, things that go wrong and why they go wrong, understanding the foundation of the problem and then attacking it as far as how can we get better from that. And I think that's kind of why, what fuels us as far as what we do is because we see it every single day as far as the kids not having a clue, but trying to get better, having the intent of getting better. They have the desire to do it. That's awesome. That's the foundation. Good. Hammer that. Then the next step is, okay, now how? Now what do I do? And going to someone that, and nothing against the individual that has the program or that's trying to help you. It's not their fault. They just don't know your body and the needs that it has. So I highly encourage all the youth, and youth could be, you could be freaking 25 and still be a youth. You could still be learning and still growing.
I'm a youth.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it doesn't just, we're not just targeting like 8-year-olds, right? Like, we can still be growing. I'm still growing. I'm 26. I'm still 26? Growing.
Damn, I turned 32 this month.
It's all right, dude. I balded at freaking 18. But we'll end that on a serious note. Yes. So that is, if I can get one thing across to people, it's being an expert of yourself. And that doesn't mean be disrespectful to people trying to help you. It just means understand what works and what doesn't work for you, and what allows you to grow the most, and what and just keep, and what it's going to take for you to just keep growing. And obviously, we all know that there's things that are going to limit us, but if we can limit those things, then we're growing. So if you just flip that mental switch of the intent of growth, then, man, I do it all the time. Sorry,
No, it's good. I'm gonna tag along to that because I like what you said there. Because like you and I kind of, like we're saying, we speak the same language with different words. You know what I mean? And my big thing with that, like what you're saying, is ownership. Like, who is throwing the baseball? You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing with that. Like, don't look to dad, don't look to coach, don't even look to me. I'm just seeing what you're doing and trying to tap into your mental process so you can understand what you are doing. You're throwing the baseball. You want to get more velocity. You want to be a better pitcher and dominate. But if you're not out there working on it, then it doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, and some, like, I love what you said too. Like, I know plenty of guys too. Like, I played with a Venezuelan dude who threw 101. And I'd never seen anybody get hit harder than that guy. Like, I saw more 100-mile-an-hour fastballs return than any, and we weren't even in the big leagues. And I'm like, dude, this guy has a great arm, but he threw middle. And there was no pitching. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Like, if you know a fastball is coming at a certain level, they don't care. They don't care how fast you throw. You know, that's why Chappie's been working on that slider. And you saw a spring training outing, he second pitch. Everybody's all excited about throw a fastball. He throws a slider and spins somebody around the second pitch of the outing. You know, so you have to in order. Like, I just kind of got through to the same kid I was talking to yesterday. You have to look like you're throwing hard as well as throwing hard, so all your other pitches can be disguised by that motion, by that intent, because they think that, oh, you're going to come after them, you know? And like, the guys that know me know that Cutternation's almost a smokescreen. Like, you think I'm going to throw nothing but cutters, right? And they're like, oh, dude, you throw cutters the whole time. Yeah, that's what you think, right? But if you look at the video I posted today, it was cutter, two-seam changeup. And that guy had no chance. Like, he didn't touch the ball. Like, it's just how it was. And he's a good friend of mine. And we talked about it afterwards. And he's like, dude, I knew you were throwing the cutter. You threw it. And then I was sitting on it again. And then you throw two-seam, got me scared. And then you throw a changeup. I thought it was a fastball. He's like, I was nowhere even close to your sequence, you know? So I love what you said. Like, and I say it all the time too. You have to be a master of you. Like, you have to be a master of what you are doing because you're throwing the baseball.
Yeah, we can oh no. Is he gone?
No. What?
Your thing went black. Where'd you go?
No, we're good. We're still recording. Keep going. It's probably.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, my screen went black. So we can take that a step further as far as understanding your stuff. So what I touched on earlier was understanding one's body. 4? Oh, yeah, no. 4 minutes. Oh, no. Understanding one's body physically, right? And then we take it to the next step as far as stuff and how does your stuff play. Understanding what is going to maximize your stuff, right? We talk about maximizing potential. Now we talk about what happens on that little mound in the middle of the diamond, right? What actually happens there and how can you get the most out of what you present to the table? You want to just do a closing?
Yeah, sure. That's a good one. I definitely would need to do multiple parts of this because I really like how we're going. This is going to go well. So, listen.
Bang the 130 lesson. Bang it.
Guys, listen, I'm pumped. Robby and I finally got this thing going. I wanted to wait till I got a mic because I've got a bunch of complaints about my audio quality. Hopefully that increased some stuff. So if you can see this little thing right here, thank you, JD Tech TV, one of my best friends. I'm in his wedding. I'm going back to Florida to be in his wedding. He was the one that that guides me on my nerddom and all the like the TV back here with all the crazy wires and then
yeah, and you guide me on my nerdom. It's just an evolution.
I just transfer the thought, just like you were just saying. So last thing, don't forget to go check out my website, get yourself some awesome gear. I got awesome tri-blend t-shirts. If everybody's kind of scared of the word tri-blend, by the way, it's softer than cotton. It doesn't shrink and it doesn't hold stench. So do yourself a favor. Get yourself one of those. Robbie, we'll be getting you one of those soon. What do you, medium? What do you, medium, extra medium? I don't know what size.
Well, it depends on if I'm at Baby Gap or if I'm at Champs, dude. What are you asking here?
Yeah, exactly. So, Robbie, tell everybody one more time where they can get a hold of you. How can they find you? Because, people should know who you are anyway.
Dude, can I plug? Can I have the floor to plug away?
This is time to plug. Plug away.
Okay, you can follow your boy on Instagram at Robby Row 12. That's Robbie with a Y. Twitter is at Robby Row _12. I don't know why I didn't do them all the same, but can't win them all. And then your boy's got a podcast. It's the Robby Row Show, and John's going to hook it up with an MP3 to this specific podcast so I can get this on my show as well. And then. Yeah, I mean, as far as part 2 goes, it'll definitely be in the works. I think I do want to shorten podcast as far as like this was actually a pretty decent time. I think maybe like 30 something minutes, whatever.
I think you need to go the other way. I think the way technology these days, man, you can pause and pick up, and no, you need to go longer. Go Rogan style. Go 3. 4 hours.
I talk too long. I talk too much. I don't even like listening to myself talk.
Dude, it's not about you.
I love listening to myself talk.
That's why you always go one way.
I just want to say,
yeah,
thank you for having me. Thank you for showing me essentially the way as far as all these things go, and then thank you for allowing me to have, what is this called? Google Chats or Google
Hangout? Google Hangout, yeah.
Yeah, now I have a new app that I have, so thank you for showing me that as well. Appreciate you, dog.
You're welcome, man. No, I appreciate it, dude. Like I said, anybody that's putting out quality stuff, we need more of that, because especially you've been an affiliated guy and I'm not an affiliated guy, and I know you've been there. I don't understand why it's such a secret on a lot of the stuff. If you think about it, there's definitely like people trying to hide it when people are trying to break in. And I just wish I got better information at a younger age, so I could have been in that situation, because I wasn't playing the right game, and that's where I want to pass along that information. So with that being said, I do have to go right now. We'll have links to everything in here. Thanks to everybody who had like up to 4 people at once watching this live. So you'll be able to check this on YouTube. We'll get everything going from there. One last thing, throw hard. All right. Hope you all enjoyed that episode of the Robby Row Show. Appreciate Jon for having me on his podcast and conducting a solid, I don't even want to say it was an interview, more of a conversation. That dude and I can talk for days, as well as any baseball mind. You can just hammer ideas off each other. So I had a great time. And like I said before, if you're not already, please subscribe to this podcast, The Robby Row Show. Please give it a good review. And also you can follow me on Instagram at Robby Row 12, Twitter at Robby Row _12, and YouTube Robby Row 12. Just trying to put as much content out there as possible. Just trying to feed those inexperienced athletes with experience. I mean, I think that's kind of the goal that's lighting this whole fire. So I would really appreciate y'all if you just spread the word and just continue to keep it positive. I appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten, and I look forward to interacting with each and every one of y'all in the near future. So until next time, this is Robbie Rowland, and you've just listened to an episode of The Robby Row Show. God bless y'all.